Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear, but you need to hear it if you ever want control over your life. Money is not about passion. Money is not about dreams. Money is not about what you love. Money is about discipline, execution, and results. And if that offends you, good, because offense is cheaper than poverty. Here's the brutal truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Not the government, not your boss, not your family, not your friends. If you don't figure out how to make money work for you, you will spend your entire life working for money. And that is a terrible deal. Most people wake up every day already defeated. They hate Mondays, they live for Fridays, and they pray for vacations like it's some kind of escape plan. That's not a life. That's a slow financial death. And the reason it happens is simple. People refuse to respect money. Money doesn't care how hard you work. Money doesn't care about your feelings. Money only responds to value. If you don't create value that someone else is willing to pay for, you don't deserve the money. Period. I see this all the time. People tell me, Kevin, I work so hard. So what? Hard work without results is meaningless. The world doesn't pay effort. The world pays outcomes. If you can't separate those two ideas, you'll stay broke forever. Here's another truth people hate. Being broke is usually your fault. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's your responsibility. Every bad financial decision compounds. Every dollar wasted today steals from your future self. And most people steal from their future every single day and call it normal. You buy things you don't need with money. You don't have to impress people you don't even like. That's insanity. And then you wonder why you're stressed, tired, and stuck. The math is simple. Spend less than you make. Invest the difference. Do that long enough, and freedom shows up. But here's where people really fail. They want money, but they don't want accountability. They want success, but they don't want structure. They want wealth, but they don't want sacrifice. You cannot have the result without paying the price. I'll tell you something else that will upset you. Your job is not security. Your salary is not safety. Your boss does not care about your future. A job is a transaction. You give time, you get paid. That's it. And the moment you stop adding value, the transaction ends. Real security comes from ownership. Ownership of businesses, ownership of assets, ownership of investments. If you don't own anything, you don't control anything. And if you don't control anything, you are always one decision away from panic. Every wealthy person I know understands this. They don't chase money. They build systems. They focus on cash flow. They think long term. They delay gratification like professionals while everyone else is chasing dopamine. Let me be very clear. Saving money alone will not make you rich. Saving is defensive. Investing is offensive. You must learn how money grows while you sleep. If your money isn't working harder than you are, you're losing. And stop waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect time. There is only action and excuses. The people who win are not smarter. They're faster. They execute while others are still thinking. Another hard truth, most people don't want to be rich. They just like the idea of it. Because being rich requires saying no. No to stupid purchases, no to lazy habits, no to short-term pleasure, and yes to boring consistency. And most people can't handle boring. Wealth is built quietly. There are no fireworks, no applause, just discipline, repetition, and patience. That's why so few people achieve it. If you want your life to change, you must change your relationship with money. Track every dollar. Respect every expense. Invest with intention. And stop pretending that time is unlimited. It isn't. You either control your money or it will control you. There is no middle ground. That's the brutal truth. Money does not care how early you wake up or how late you stay up. It does not care how tired you are, how stressed you feel, or how unfair you think life has been to you. Money has no sympathy and no memory of your struggles. It reacts only to one thing, value. If you produce value that the market wants, money moves toward you. If you don't, it moves away, no matter how hard you tried. This is where most people get confused. They grow up believing effort equals reward. They're told that if they work hard, stay loyal, and do what they're asked, everything will work out. That story sounds nice, but it's not how the real world works. The marketplace does not run on fairness. It runs on results. You can put in maximum effort and still get minimum reward if the outcome has no value to anyone else. Every day, I hear people say they deserve more because they work harder than everyone around them. That's irrelevant. The world doesn't measure sweat. It measures usefulness. If your work doesn't solve a problem, create demand, or generate profit, your effort is invisible. You can exhaust yourself doing the wrong things and still end up with nothing to show for it. Money is a scoreboard. It tells you, very honestly, whether what you're doing matters. When money isn't coming in, it's not insulting you, it's giving you feedback. And most people hate feedback. They'd rather blame the economy, their boss, their background, or bad luck than accept the possibility that what they're offering isn't valuable enough. Emotions have no place in money decisions. Feeling busy doesn't mean you're productive. Feeling passionate doesn't mean you're profitable. Feeling entitled doesn't mean you've earned anything. The market is cold and rational. It asks one question: why should I pay you instead of someone else? Results are the only language money understands. Did you increase revenue? Did you reduce costs? Did you grow customers? Did you solve a real problem better, faster, or cheaper than the alternatives? If the answer is no, then the outcome is predictable. Less money, less opportunity, less leverage. This is why complaining is such a dangerous habit. Complaints consume energy but produce zero value. They make people feel temporarily better while keeping them permanently stuck. Every minute spent complaining is a minute not spent improving skills, refining an offer, or learning how the system actually works. The people who win financially understand this early. They stop asking for permission. They stop waiting for validation. They look at money as data. When income goes up, they study why. When it goes down, they adjust. No drama, no excuses, no ego. Hard work only matters when it's applied to the right direction. Digging a hole with a spoon all day is hard work, but it's useless. The same is true in careers and businesses. Effort without strategy is just exhaustion. Strategy without execution is just talk. Money rewards the combination of clear thinking and consistent action. Another brutal truth is that money doesn't care how good your intentions are. You might want to help people. You might believe in your idea. You might think it's important. None of that matters unless someone is willing to pay for it. Willingness to pay is the ultimate proof of value. This is why sales matter. This is why pricing matters. This is why understanding your customer matters. You are not paid for what you know. You are paid for what you can deliver in a way others recognize as valuable. If you avoid learning this, you cap your income permanently. People also misunderstand failure. Failure is not working hard and losing money. Failure is ignoring what the loss is trying to teach you. Every financial setback contains information. The market is saying something didn't work. Adjust or repeat the mistake. Most people repeat it because they're emotionally attached to their effort. Detaching emotion from outcomes is a skill. Professionals have it, amateurs don't. Professionals measure, test, and refine. Amateurs hope. Hope is not a strategy. Hope doesn't move money. Hope just delays reality. Money also doesn't respond to being busy. Meetings don't create value. Long hours don't create value. Talking about ideas doesn't create value. Execution does. Results do. Revenue does. Everything else is noise. Once you understand this, your behavior changes. You start asking different questions. Is this activity producing measurable results? Is this decision increasing long-term value? Is this expense generating a return? If not, it gets cut, no matter how comfortable it feels. This mindset is uncomfortable at first because it removes excuses. It puts responsibility exactly where it belongs, on you. That responsibility is heavy, but it's also empowering, because if results are what matter, then improving results improves everything. People who master money stop chasing approval and start chasing efficiency. They focus on leverage. They focus on scalability. They focus on doing fewer things better instead of more things poorly. They understand that time is limited, and wasting it on low-value activities is expensive. Money is brutally honest, and that's its greatest advantage. It tells you where you stand without lying. The sooner you accept that, the faster your life changes. If you don't own assets, you don't own your future. That's the reality most people avoid because it's uncomfortable. They believe a paycheck is security, but a paycheck is just permission to survive another month. The moment that paycheck stops, the illusion of safety disappears. That's not stability, that's dependency. A job feels safe because it's familiar. You know when the money arrives, you know the routine, you know what's expected. But familiarity is not protection, it's comfort, and comfort is expensive. When you trade ownership for comfort, you trade long-term freedom for short-term certainty. Your job is a transaction, nothing more. You exchange time for money. That deal only works while you are useful to someone else. The moment your value drops, or the company needs to cut costs, or technology replaces you, the transaction ends. Loyalty doesn't save you. Tenure doesn't save you. Hard work doesn't save you. People get offended when they hear this, but offense doesn't change math. If your income depends entirely on someone else's decision, you are not in control. You are managed. And being managed is fine until the manager changes their mind. Assets don't ask permission. Assets don't care if you're sick, tired, or on vacation. Assets produce whether you show up or not. That's why ownership matters. Ownership creates leverage. Leverage creates options. Options create freedom. Most people misunderstand assets. They think assets are only for the rich. They think you need massive capital to start. That's wrong. Assets are anything that puts money in your pocket without your direct labor every hour. A business, equity, royalties, intellectual property, investments, even small ones compound if you're consistent. The reason people avoid ownership is responsibility. Ownership means risk. Ownership means accountability. Ownership means no one else to blame when things go wrong. A job lets you outsource responsibility. Ownership forces you to face reality. Cash flow is the heartbeat of ownership. Without it, assets are just expensive hobbies. You can have a business that looks impressive and still be broke. Revenue without profit is vanity. Profit without cash flow is fantasy. Real ownership produces predictable cash flow over time. When you own cash-flowing assets, your decisions change. You stop chasing every opportunity. You stop panicking over every expense. You stop living paycheck to paycheck emotionally, even if your income isn't massive yet. Control changes your psychology before it changes your lifestyle. Most people spend their entire lives building someone else's assets. They work to increase company value, brand equity, and market share, but they don't own any of it. They go home exhausted while the asset they helped build continues to grow without them. That's the deal they accepted, often without realizing it. The most dangerous phrase in personal finance is, "I don't have time." What that usually means is, I'm not prioritizing ownership. Time isn't found, it's allocated. If all your time goes into maintaining income instead of building assets, you stay trapped in the cycle. Debt also plays a role here. Consumer debt is the enemy of ownership. It steals future cash flow and hands it to someone else. Every interest payment is money that could have been invested into assets you control. Instead, it fuels assets owned by banks and corporations. Wealthy people use debt differently. They use it to acquire assets that produce more cash flow than the debt costs. That difference is the game. Poor decisions borrow to consume. Smart decisions borrow to own. One creates pressure, the other creates leverage. Ownership requires patience. Assets don't usually pay immediately. They grow slowly, quietly, often boringly. That's why so few people stick with it. They want fast results. They want visible success. Ownership rewards consistency, not excitement. Another hard truth is that diversification without ownership is still vulnerability. Having multiple income streams doesn't matter if you don't control them. Control is the key variable. If you don't control pricing, distribution, or decision-making, your income is still fragile. People also confuse lifestyle with wealth. A big salary can buy a nice lifestyle, but lifestyle is expensive to maintain. Assets fund lifestyles. Salaries rent them. The moment the salary stops, the lifestyle collapses. Assets keep paying even when conditions change. Ownership doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow. It means using your job strategically. It means treating earned income as fuel, not identity. Fuel to acquire assets, fuel to invest, fuel to buy back your time piece by piece. Every asset you own reduces your dependence on someone else. Every dollar of passive income increases your negotiating power. You stop being desperate. You stop tolerating bad deals. You stop accepting terms that don't serve you. Control over your future doesn't come from motivation or optimism. It comes from structure. It comes from systems that work without constant attention. Ownership is the system that turns effort into durability. If you want peace, build assets. If you want options, build assets. If you want freedom from constant financial anxiety, build assets. Because income you don't control can disappear overnight, but ownership compounds quietly over time. Wealth is not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with excitement or adrenaline. It's quiet, repetitive, and often boring, which is exactly why most people never achieve it. They're addicted to stimulation. They want fast wins, big moments, and instant validation. Wealth doesn't work that way. It rewards discipline applied over long periods of time, even when nothing feels like it's happening. Delayed gratification is the foundation of every meaningful financial outcome. It means choosing long-term benefit over short-term pleasure again and again. That choice sounds simple, but it's incredibly difficult in a world designed to distract you, tempt you, and convince you that you deserve everything right now. Every impulse purchase, every unnecessary upgrade, every emotional decision steals momentum from the future. Consistency is not exciting. And that's the problem. Doing the same smart thing every day doesn't feel heroic. It feels dull. Tracking expenses, investing regularly, saying no to things you can afford but don't need, reviewing numbers, repeating routines. These behaviors don't get applause, but they compound faster than talent ever will. People love to talk about luck, but luck favors preparation. The person who looks lucky usually spent years being disciplined when no one was watching. They showed up on days they didn't feel like it. They followed systems instead of moods. They trusted process over emotion. That's not luck. That's structure. Most people confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Discipline is mechanical. It shows up whether you feel inspired or not. Wealth requires mechanical behavior. Automated saving, automated investing, predefined rules, decisions made once and followed repeatedly. This removes emotion from the equation, which is exactly what makes it work. Boring consistency beats intensity every time. You don't need extreme effort for short bursts. You need reasonable effort sustained indefinitely. People burn out because they try to sprint a marathon. They go all in, then collapse. Wealth builders pace themselves. They play long games. Sacrifice is unavoidable. You cannot spend every dollar and still build wealth. You cannot say yes to everything and still progress. Every financial advance requires trade-offs. The difference is that disciplined people choose their sacrifices intentionally, while undisciplined people sacrifice their future without realizing it. Delayed gratification also means resisting comparison. Someone else will always appear ahead of you. Bigger house, better car, flashier lifestyle. Comparison pushes people into decisions that feel good socially, but are devastating financially. Wealth doesn't care how it looks, it cares how it lasts. Consistency extends to learning as well. Financial literacy compounds just like money. Small improvements in understanding taxes, investing, risk, and cash flow produce outsized results over time. Ignoring these topics doesn't make them go away. It just makes the consequences more expensive. Boring consistency is what protects you from panic. When markets fluctuate, disciplined investors don't react emotionally. They follow their plan. When income changes, disciplined people adjust spending without drama. Emotional reactions destroy progress faster than bad math ever could. The hardest part of consistency is patience. Results don't show up on your schedule. They show up when the math says they should. People quit right before compounding accelerates because they mistake slow progress for failure. Compounding is invisible until it isn't. Wealth is not built by dramatic decisions. It's built by small, correct decisions repeated thousands of times. Most days feel ordinary. Some feel frustrating. Very few feel exciting. That's normal. Expecting constant excitement guarantees disappointment and poor choices. Delayed gratification also applies to identity. You don't need to look wealthy to become wealthy. In fact, trying to look wealthy is one of the fastest ways to stay broke. Real wealth is invisible for a long time. It grows quietly behind the scenes. Discipline creates margin. Margin creates flexibility. Flexibility creates power. When you're disciplined, unexpected expenses don't destroy you. When you're consistent, setbacks don't derail you. Structure absorbs shock. Chaos magnifies it. People underestimate how much progress comes from simply not making stupid decisions, avoiding bad debt, avoiding lifestyle inflation, avoiding emotional spending, avoiding get-rich-quick schemes. Not losing money is often more powerful than trying to make it fast. Wealth builders are boring by design. They repeat routines. They follow rules. They ignore noise. They understand that excitement is expensive and boredom is profitable. They don't need constant reassurance because they trust the system they built. Consistency also builds confidence, not motivational confidence, but operational confidence. You know what you're doing works because you've seen it work repeatedly. That confidence prevents overreaction. It keeps you steady when others panic. The world celebrates intensity but rewards endurance. Endurance is built through habits, not hype. Daily habits compound whether you notice them or not. Good habits quietly build momentum. Bad habits quietly build regret. Delayed gratification isn't deprivation. It's prioritization. It's choosing what matters most and protecting it from what matters least. That clarity simplifies decisions. Simpler decisions reduce stress. Reduced stress improves consistency. Wealth isn't created in moments of inspiration. It's created in moments of boredom, repetition, and patience. The people who accept that reality early move ahead quietly, while everyone else keeps chasing shortcuts that don't exist.